Hey everybody, welcome to CDT Study Club. I am your host, Managing Partner of Russellville Dental Laboratory, Lee Coursey, and I am here, as you hopefully are, to study and prepare for the comprehensive exam for the Certified Dental Technician course. A little bit of trivia. I found this today when I was cleaning out some stuff, the iron-on patch that hopefully I'll be able to stick on something. I'm going to get myself a fancy lab coat when I get my CDT. And just wear a lab coat for no reason other than to put on badges. So I think that's what I'm going to do with my testing outcomes. Probably shouldn't screw up then. All right, so let's get to studying. First of all, I wanted to say I am using additional resources tonight. I'm holding up an upside down because if somebody is listening and not watching because they were driving, if anybody was listening and not watching while they were driving, they would know that I just held up, they would need to know that I just held up a book that is well documented, well notated, that was provided to us by our very own Raquel Millichamp, who gave us this book from Modern Dental Assisting. It is an Elsevier title, and it has a lot of information and a lot of notes in it on anatomy, and I think that's going to come in handy, especially as we get into some of this more complex stuff. So last week when we left off, I think we were about to get into thirds, the division into thirds of teeth, if I remember just from, going back in my brain, which is always a scary thing to do. So we're going to take a look at some more anatomy tonight, and then we're going to go back and take a look at some materials as well, and try to dig in on materials. So I'm going to be using this as a reference in addition to the Air Force Manual. Let's go through our usual spiel here. This is the CDT Study Club. You are welcome to use these notes and participate in any way that you like. This slideshow is available in a link below the Twitch screen. And if you're an RDL employee, you can just go to your Google Drive, click on the shared drive called Employee Experience, and you'll see CDT, NADL CDT study materials in there. There is a CDT Study Club present comprehensive exam study guide, and that's what we're working on here. We are building a collaborative CDT study guide for the comprehensive exam. The total testing is 3 exams in 4 years. So we're studying right now for number 1, the written comprehensive exam. It's 160 multiple choice questions in 2 hours and 45 minutes. You register online, which I did a couple of weeks ago. It's supposed to test next month. And you can test online. Same with the written specialty exam. You can test online, but then the hands-on practical exam, right now you do have to travel to get to that. So we're just focusing on, in this presentation, we're focusing on the written comprehensive exam. For the specialty exam and the practical exam, those will be in your subject areas. Well, I'm doing removables because that's what I have the most experience in. It's also the test with the highest failure rate, so yay. But we've got the written comprehensive, we've got the specialty exam and removables, and then we'll have a hands-on practical exam. Each one of the hands-on practical exams is different depending on the specialty you're doing. Mine, I think, based on what I hear, they take a denture and they smash it and say, here, put it back together. So I'm looking forward to that. The materials that we use are the ones that the NADL provides for the National Board of Certification. Those are listed here and in the top of the study guide. You can see pictures of those here. One notable thing is there's not many versions of dental materials and their selection. So we are substituting in dental materials, foundations, and applications, which is an Elsevier title. We also found that this particular document comes with some pretty good online study materials, and we can take a look at those again. And if you look at a couple of past episodes, you'll be able to see how to access those study materials. So that's some good stuff there if you want some quizzing and just some general study guide help. So let's take a look at what is all on there. The big thing that you need to know is on the comprehensive exam, 32% or so is on materials, 16% is on anatomy, and 16% is on safe working conditions. So that right there is a big chunk of a passing grade. That's what we're focusing on. There's also some theory, articulation, knowledge about impressions and models, and industry guidelines and safe working the safe working conditions. We're going to be switching from anatomy back into materials, I believe, pretty soon. But for right now, we're going to pick up where we left off last week on anatomy. I feel like we're making some good headway. So each one of the sections is laid out here and the requirements for each section. So like if you go to part A, this is how the National Board of Certification laid it out. These are the requirements for this. So 9 to 11% of your practical, your comprehensive exam is going to be on dental laboratory, industry regulations, and scope of practice. So that's part A right here. Here's the sorting slide, and then if you follow down through there, there's already been a ton of slides added, and thank you to everyone for who's participated in this. But a ton of slides added in here about what good manufacturing processes are, what the terms are used in that, and then what else do we have here? Practice under federal guidelines, OSHA, HIPAA. We got some more information and links here, and we're going to go back to that, so we'll need to come back to that at some point. We're using primarily the U.S. Army, U.S. what is it? Navy, Army, Air Force. Neither. It's the Air Force manual. Specifically, most recently, we've been using Volume 1, which is Basic Sciences, Removable Prosthodontics, and Orthodontics. There's a lot of material in here, both in this and Volume 2. We're using it just because everybody can access it, and a lot of the material is covered in here. I think this is really the format that the National Board of Certification used to establish the CDT exam in the first place, so it would make sense to do it that way. So let's get back into anatomy. Anatomy, if you look at it, it's identify occlusal requirements, then differentiate types of occlusion. That means canine guidance, group function, and malocclusion. That's according to the study guide. This is all copied over from that. Then we need to identify tooth morphology, identify growth and development of dentition, identify basic anatomic landmarks, both the soft tissue and hard tissue landmarks. So that's going to be your fovea palatine, etc. Identify muscles of mastication and facial expression. We've already done a lot of the cranial skeletal anatomy and the muscles of mastication and facial expression. That's already later in, and then the tooth coating systems. I don't know why growth and development of dentition is here and tooth coating systems are down here. But Kelly, if you're watching, you'll be happy to see that we'll eventually have to cover Palmer. But I do have that really cool slide. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, so this was the slide I was talking about before. This is the one that's got Palmer in it, and that's the one that you do. You do the number of the tooth from the quadrant back, but you use a different mark, left, right, or top, bottom, left, right notation around it to create it. So this little box that you see, or half box that you see around each number, is part of the Palmer notation. So we'll get into that stuff as well. And right now we're going to go back to where we were last week, looking at, so we've got the mucous membranes of the alveolar process. Exciting stuff. I think if I remember correctly, we were on about, nope. Yeah, all right. Somewhere in this area right here. Now I'm going to zoom this down just a little bit, but if it gets hard to see for anybody, or if anybody's reading my screen and you need me to zoom in, please do let me know. I'm going to put my headphones on, not because they look super cool, but because if there is a noise, it'll come through my speaker over there, and I don't have to worry about that. So I'm just going to close that out. Yeah, we're going to get into a lot of stuff here. All right, so we were roughly in this area. There we go. Yep, getting into thirds. So the long axis. All right, let's take a look at what we've got here. So I think we had, so here we're at the long axis, and then we have this slide. This is from the internet, so this is not from the Air Force manual. We're just going to keep going. And then they said, so we went from, free and attached gingiva, free and attached gingiva. Why did I edit that? I didn't. Oh, okay. All right, anyway. So this is that, figure 4.6, free and attached gingiva. All right, gingival line, yes. And one of the things I would ask if you're participating at home, if you think you're, and I was trying to do this last week, I'm going to continue doing it this week. If you're, pardon me, I'm obsessing over getting things in the right spot and not doing it anyway. Boop. There we go. If you are doing a slide, if you could try to pick, so what I did here is I did identify tooth morphology with this, which is the subheading that we're doing, and you can just like do this one time, and you can Control C, and then on each of the slides that are identify tooth morphology, you can just put that down on there. But so you can see we're here on C, identify tooth morphology, and that way if you're following along through that slide presentation, it helps others go, oh, okay, we're in that section. So I'm going to go now back to identify tooth morphology. And see, I've even got some that I didn't maintain, so I'm going to do that real quick. Control C, Control V, Control V. Yeah. Yep, and then we've got nice. Nice, nice, nice. We've got that numbering. So this says numbering. If I remember correctly, it said numbering is going to be in H. So I should actually have these down here. We're going to move these down because they'll be the last thing before the next section. So I know I can just go ahead and put them right there. And then we'll go ahead and take that Palmer notation slide and move it down here as well. Yeah, cool. All right, and then we just change these. So now instead of identify tooth morphology, it's numbering. And click, Control C, Control V, Control V. There we go. Now we've got it on there. All right. I think that is going to end up having to go up. All right. Moving on. All right. These are terrible images, and I'm getting rid of that slide. This is the, if you've never seen this before, this is the PTC training document. I thought I'd found a decent image of it, but it's terrible, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Dental morphology. This actually came from Pinterest. If you don't know, there's actually quite a bit of dental stuff on Pinterest, as lame as that sounds. But there is. So if you have a Pinterest board, you can look up dental lab stuff. You can look up dentistry stuff, all kinds of cool stuff. And some people even make like this. They'll just make random images and things to help. Maybe this is somebody who does studying differently. I don't know. But it's really cool stuff. I have a dental lab board, like dream board, on my Pinterest account. That's how big of a dental nerd I am. So, all right, crown morphology, contours, tooth surfaces. Okay, so I guess that's where we need to do is tooth surfaces. Did we have that tooth surfaces? Let's take a look. No. Yes. Yep. Okay, so we've got that. The long axis, yes. So we're getting into anterior and posterior crown divisions. All right, so I'm going to copy this right here. We're going to make a new slide after that one on tooth morphology. No, right there. And we're going to go, boom, new. Shift Control V. Go over here and get. Oh, that's right. I have to open this in. Nobody look. If you don't look. Whoa. We're almost there. Big pictures, and we're stopping. So if you have Adobe Acrobat, you can just literally click on this and go Control C, come back over here, and Control V. And now we've got this image in here. This is where I've been pulling images from off screen. So, and then this doesn't need to be this big. I think we can actually fit some text on here and still be readable. Let's see, what do we need to do? That's weird. All right. Some odd. Oh, you know what we can do? Watch this. Little hack. Control C, Control V. Take this one and double click on it. We'll just turn it into crop mode. Move it right to the middle of the image. And then double click. And then double click on this one and move it just to the middle of the image. I'm going just beyond this thing right here. And then you should be able to put one on one side and one on the other, or some other thing like that, and it just makes it not as boring on the screen. Not that I've been doing a lot of, you know, PowerPoint slideshow stuff recently. All right, let's see if we can get our text box in here. Let's see how much information we can get on here. Shift Control V, that's to paste it without formatting. And then we're going to go the horizontal division. Shift Control V. And longitudinal division. Control C. Shift Control V. All right. So now we'll take these two things right here. Let's reduce this. And then we're going to drop this down just a little bit. And we'll do some bolding. Alright, that's significantly more readable. If you ignore all the misspellings because of bad copying over. So the facial, lingual, mesial, and distal surfaces, dividing a crown into thirds. The facial, lingual, mesial, and distal surfaces of a crown can be divided into thirds, both horizontally and longitudinally. Horizontal division. Each axial surface of a crown is divided horizontally into a cervical, a middle, and a occlusal third. So this is horizontal division here. You can see right to left. Longitudinal division, each mesial or distal axial surface may be divided into a facial, a middle, and a lingual third. Each facial or lingual surface may be divided into a mesial, a middle, and a distal third. Mesial, middle, and a distal third. Mesial. Mesial, middle, and distal third. Oh, okay, so mesial and distal being directionality. If this would be, I guess this would be tooth number 8. So 9 would be right here, so this would be the center point, so this would be the mesial side. So this would be one of your central incisors. This would be basically the point between your two front teeth. And so this would be the mesial aspect of it. This would be the distal or away aspect of it, and the middle, obviously. So you could get, now you have 9 sectors. Basically, yeah, you have 9 sectors of each tooth that you can identify what's going on, where it's going on. It's just directional. It allows you to communicate better with the clinician, or the clinician to communicate better with you. So, all right. Next up is, what do we got? Line angle. And this is something I'm going to be honest with you, I have never been really, really clear on. So let's learn together. I botched my layout here, so I'll just click here, and there it is. Shift Control V. Control Z. Control V. Yeah, there we go. Boom, enter. Boom, enter. And then the mesio, lingual mesio, distolabial. Yeah, it just doesn't like that word. It's not misspelled, it just doesn't like it. I don't know why it wants to put an extra space after every M. Line angle. A line angle is an angle formed by the junction of two crown surfaces. It derives its name from those two surfaces. There are 8 line angles per tooth. The 8 anterior tooth line angles are the mesiolabial, mesiolingual, distolabial, distolingual, labioincisal, linguoincisal, mesioincisal, and distoincisal. Cool. The 8 posterior line angles are the mesiobuccal, mesiolingual. This makes no sense to me out loud, so let's see what we can find. Tooth line angles image. Okay. Now, I'm really struggling with this. What? Jesus, take the wheel. All right. So it looks like we have an image here. All right, let's look at this together. The labioincisal line angle. So we're going to talk about the 8 anterior tooth line angles. So we're going to be focusing on these 2 images right here. Okay. So the 8 anterior tooth line angles are the mesiolabial line angle. But what's it pointing to? Is that supposed to be like an implied curved edge? So it's the ill-defined corners of the teeth. And it would be so if it's a molar, then the buccal surface. I'm looking at my denture here. I'm sorry, I don't know if that's clear, but I wish I had one of those oversized tooth models. I've got a tooth with a cactus growing out of it, but that doesn't really serve the same purpose. I'm gonna have to print some oversized tooth models. Great. So if this is the buccal and this is the distobuccal occlusal point angle, no, I'm gonna get confused. Nope. Goodbye. We're just doing line angles. All right. I need to ask the teacher. I can hear our director of operations in there who has more experience at this anatomy stuff than I do. I can hear him in the other room. I should just go get him and drag him on camera and be like, explain line angle. Labioincisal line angle. All right. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this. I'm sorry. I need to see if there's a better picture. Huh. We're gonna watch a YouTube video together? Point angles? No, I don't think so. We don't need to do cavity prep, do we? Oh, what do we got here? So I kind of like this image. Hold on. Is that the same image? Just all right. So lingual, labial towards the cheek. Learned that. So buccal. I know all of these words, and yet posterior line angle. So the mesiobuccal line angle is the one that would be the front cheek side corner. And so the distobuccal, mesiobuccal, distolabial. Hey, Brent, you want to explain line angles to everybody? Jeez, oh Pete, I do not understand this at all. Distolabial. So why isn't, if this is called mesiobuccal, why isn't this called distobuccal? Because it's distobuccal. Sounds so much cooler also. Labial, distolabial, mesiobuccal.
Buckle shouldn't be on anterior teeth.
Well, it's not. It's on posterior. I'm looking at both, but it's like mesiolabial. Okay, that one is disiolabial. Mesiolabial and distolabial. But there's mesiobuccal, but I don't see distobuccal unless I'm just missing it.
I mean, the distobuccal.
Distobuccal. Disto.
Both of those, I mean, on the posterior, that's what helps define your lining. That's what it's.
Mesiobuccal. So the line angle, all right, just so for the kids at home and not me at all. So if I'm looking at my tooth right here, this corner effectively of my molar becomes, because it's the mesial aspect of it, this corner of my molar becomes the mesiobuccal line angle, right? That line up and down, right?
A different way to describe it, you've got two planes that form the mesiobuccal cusp.
Okay.
And you've got two planes that form the distobuccal cusp.
Distobuccal cusp. Yes.
So if this is the mesiobuccal cusp, the line where these two planes come together that forms the arch.
Yeah.
That forms the line angle for the posterior teeth. Is another way to put it. You're correct. I'm making it more specific on where on PTC, you know how they make the primary planes?
Yes.
So on the mesiobuccal primary planes.
Mesiobuccal primary planes. That's the planes of the occlusal surface, right?
Well, they're on the inside, but they're also on the outside.
They are.
They're within the occlusal surface, and they're on the buccal surface as well.
For anybody watching outside of our organization, my experience is not in fixed, okay? So I don't want to alarm anybody being a dental lab owner and not knowing some of this terminology. I don't touch fixed. I never have. But implant work we can talk about. All right, I'm gonna have to study on this some more. If you have any good resources to point to, this is not clicking for me for some reason. So, huh?
So we're dealing with upper. So if you think from a posterior teeth, you've got the peak. You've got the peak of this cusp on the buccal surface and the peak of this on the buccal surface. Well, that forms
because it's 2 points.
It's
okay. So what he's saying is there's the peak of this. There's the peak of this this cusp and the peak of this cusp on the labial aspect or the buccal aspect of the crown.
But then there's a kind of the top of the curve here. Well, that has to follow a line because the peak is, it's like, I mean, if you think of it as kind of like the side of the mountain, for lack of a better term.
Right. The peak of the curve. Okay.
All right.
Side of the mountain.
Well, the angle of that peak of the curve helps you define your line angle.
Okay.
On the posterior.
Okay.
On the anterior, you've got your mesial and distal lobes and all of the anatomical features of the labial surface of an anterior tooth are following the line, which becomes your line angle because all of the features of an anterior tooth should be parallel to that line angle in order to get it to rotate in the direction that you want to.
Okay. Okay, so taking it back then, so I didn't see let's say. So is that so is the line angle, does the long axis play into how you define your line angles? Mm-hmm. Is that so they're parallel to the long axis?
The long axis and the line angles all are parallel to one another.
Okay, so that's the connection what I didn't understand then is, so we have our long axis of the tooth and these line angles that we're looking at operate they operate in conjunction with the line angles of the tooth. So you're here, if you've got your long axis of your molar, or if I go over to my image over here, if I've got my long axis of the molar, what are these two lines that you were talking about?
Well, you've got the long axis that basically is coming through the middle of the tooth that talks about its rotation.
Right.
So that's the long axis. As you go into it, then because of these are going to run parallel to the long axis of the tooth as well. And from an aesthetic standpoint, and it's not so much on the posterior but the anterior, you want all of those features to be pointing in the same direction as your long axis.
Okay. Now, what are these? So I get that. So that would be 4 of those that are parallel to the long axis, because there'd be one on each basically corner of the tooth, right?
Correct.
But the others, are they across the plane? So this lingual occlusal, is that from this point to this point? Is that what it's saying? That line is this line,
It's
this long ways?
I would say the lingual occlusal, it's the distance between the cusp tip, at least what the picture's showing,
Okay.
of the mesial lingual cusp tip to the distal lingual cusp tip.
Okay. Distolingual cusp tip, mesial.
Or
lingual.
it could be going all the way to the marginal ridge, depending upon what it could be. The lingual occlusal is most likely going to be from the mesial marginal ridge at the most mesial part of the mesial lingual cusp to the most distal part of the distal lingual cusp, and it's just showing that's the width of your lingual occlusal surface.
Okay. Width of the lingual occlusal surface. All right. I am still going to have to study on this, and I'm probably going to pick your brain later. But I appreciate your help and input.
Okay.
All right.
You need more?
No, I'm going to get there, but I'm going to keep going. And I'm probably going to have to come back to it. I don't want there might be other people that are watching this and going, yeah, I get it. Let's move on. But something's not clicking for me just yet.
Okay.
It's just the way it is when you're studying sometimes. All right. Let's take a look at where we need to go after line angle. So I apologize. I'm really, something's not clicking for me. But so we're going to talk about point angle. Wow, that is going to be a lot of messed up. So we'll do new again. Just Control V. Yeah. Distolingual, incisal, mesio. All right, the junction of 3 crown surfaces forms a point angle. So that makes sense to me. So if you've got the buccal surface and you've got the mesial surface and then you've got the occlusal surface, where those things meet, you'll have a point angle. So this is point angle. And we will find was I using didn't mean to click on that. What was I using? So those are point angles. Okay, point angles. Yep. All right, so it's similar image. All right, go back over here. Drop this sucker over. Control V. Make this bigger. Make the logo bigger. Just doing some formatting here. The junction of 3 crown surfaces forms a point angle. Combining the names of the 3 surfaces derives the name of the point angle. So just like we were talking about, if this is the distal, that's the mesial. So we're looking at the front of the mouth is that way. It's up here. So this would be the distobuccal occlusal point angle, and that's where that marginal ridge is there. So distobuccal occlusal point angle. It's basically where those 3 planes meet. And for anterior tooth point angles, let's look at this. Mesiolabial incisal. Mesiolabial incisal. Mesiolingual incisal. All right, so it's pointing through, I don't know if you can tell this, but it's pointing through the, whoops. Let's pull up the image here. Open in new tab. All right. So, distolabial incisal point angle. It's pointing, so the mesiolingual incisal point angle, it's pointing through the image to the backside to this dotted interface. So that's kind of, that's a little, these should be switched. This one should be up here and blah, blah, whatever. So mesio, meaning towards the front. Linguo, meaning on the tongue side, towards the inside of the mouth. And incisal, meaning at the incisal edge. So mesiolingual incisal point angle. Mesiolingual incisal. And then the mesiolabial incisal point would be this outer point here. Okay. All right. Just go to where the directions say is basically what, you know, basically what we're saying here. Reset, unzoom. What do we got here? What else we got here? It's not bad. Cool. All right, moving on. Sorry. It's always neat when you find a different resource. So what is this? Whatwhenhow.com and Dental Anatomy Physiology. Cool. I love open source information. One of my favorite things is just finding random caches of information like that, because you never know what gems you're going to find in it. All right. Let's take a look at what's next. Distinctive crown convexities. Sounds like a your mom joke. Really nerdy your mom joke, I guess. 4. All right. Distinctive. Oh, your crown convexities are so distinctive. It's very impressive. Mamelons. Sounds like a villain from a 70s sci-fi TV show. Lobes. Lobes are one of the primary anatomical divisions of a crown. All teeth develop from either 4 or 5 lobes. Figure 4.10. I think we should go get a figure. There we go. Need to pull it in from our PDF here. Once again, reminder, these are public images. This was paid for by your taxpayer dollars. All right, little trick here. Another little trick. You can crop this. All right. I'm gonna crop it. I'm gonna move it here. I'm gonna go Control C, Control V, V, right? I'm gonna move this down here, move this right here, and we're gonna go, and I'm gonna grab this and move it across until that image is right there in the middle. And then I'm gonna click this one, and I'm gonna drag it across until this one on the right is there. So basically the same trick as before, we're just spreading the love out a little bit. There we go. So you get the lobes of a central incisor. There's 3. So it said from either 4 or 5 or low. Oh, so we're counting this as a lobe and these 3 lobes. And then your lower second molar, there's 4 lobes. Your lower first molar, though, has 5 lobes. All right, mamelons. I think we're just going to grab this stuff and Control X, and we will go back to where we started, folks. Ba-dum-bum. All right. Moving on. Lobes of a central incisor. That image is not terribly clear, but you know, we're going to take this stuff and move on. Next, Control V, mamelons. Control X. All right. The mamelons are coming. All right. Figure 4.11. Okay. Mamelons are small, rounded projections of enamel from the incisal edges of newly erupted anterior teeth. The projections wear away soon after eruption. Soon is a relative term. If you ever looked at your kids' brand new teeth, they look like they cut freaking razors. Yeah, that's what you're looking at. Cingulum. Whew, pardon my yawn. Cingulum. Spelled correctly. That size, it feels very much like a 1970s PBS or 1980s PBS kids show. Cingulum. It's like it should pop out and there should be some guy heavy breathing behind the microphone at the same time. All right. All right, now we're on to, what was this, 4.8.4.1. So all right, so now we're on to cusps. Cusps. Wow, this is messy. Have one. One is the loneliest number that you ever knew. 2 can be as bad as 1. It's the loneliest number since the number 1. All right, cusps. And there was. Oh, once again. This is 4.1.3, so it's got to be referenced here. Aha. That's what we missed. So we've got 1 cusp, 2 cusps, 3 cusps, 4. Oh, I bet those freaking. I bet we're gonna find out something. Nope. All right, we gotta grab this text though. I think it's speaking gibberish, but we're gonna grab it anyway. Carabali. All right, mesiolingual. All right, so let's read through this. Now we have an image again for cusps. Yes, so grab that. Just again, cusps. You're being taught dentistry by. Oh, dadgummit! What was that? What was that show that Samuel L. Jackson was on? No, it wasn't Samuel L. Jackson. It was Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman was on a show for kids called The Electric Company. Yes, The Electric Company. So it's like you're learning dentistry from The Electric Company. Cusps. So if you're old enough to get that reference, congratulations, you're old. Cusps. So, such a big image. Such a big image. All right, cusp are cone-shaped elevations that on the occlusal surface of a premolar or molar, and on the incisal edge of the canine. Canines have one cusp, our little vampire fangs, that represents the tooth's cutting edge. Maxillary premolars and the mandibular first premolars have two cusps, one buccal and one lingual. The mandibular second premolar normally has three cusps, one buccal and two lingual. The lingual cusps are subdivided into a mesiolingual and a distolingual. Maxillary molars have four cusps, two buccal and two lingual. The two buccal cusps are subdivided into a mesiobuccal and distobuccal. The two lingual cusps are subdivided into a mesiolingual and a distolingual. Wow. Wow. Okay. I feel like that needs another image. At least for me it does. Cusps. Molar cusps. Excuse me, I apologize for the cusps. Cusps. Tooth cusps. Label. Boom. That's what I was looking for right there. Open link in new tab. What do we got? PocketDentistry.com. Nice. Open image in new tab. That is a big old image. Copy image. Alright. We're going to just do a new blank image and just pop this in here. Alright, viewed from occlusal. So, alright, so you can see premolar, premolar, molar, molar, molar. Okay, and how you describe each one of them. Okay, cool. Nice high-res image there, too. I don't know why. Yeah. Okay, moving on. We're going to talk about margin. Wait, do I get this text? Oh, no. All right, I need to get this text right here. I'm going to make this a lot smaller now since it's not our primary image. Missed a segment here. There we go. All right, and then this is illustrated on the next image, so I think that's pretty good. All right, What's next? Ridge. All right, moving on. Change my layout here. A ridge is a linear elevation found on the surface of a tooth as follows. The marginal ridge. A marginal ridge is a linear, rounded border of enamel that forms the mesial and distal margins of anterior teeth, as viewed from the lingual, and the mesial and distal borders of occlusal surfaces on posterior teeth. Figure 4.14. Mesial and distal cusp ridges of buccal and lingual cusps on posterior teeth. Okay, so I think what they're saying here, let me just come back to it. Okay. So what they're saying here is, for example, if you have a missing tooth and you're waxing it up, then you follow the cusp ridge, the marginal ridge from the posterior teeth. I think that's what it's saying. I don't know why that. I guess that's only relevant to. Okay. Yeah, apologize. 4.15. All right, so. So there was an image for this. We're just going to go ahead and grab that. I feel like this would be more effective if it was on this side and the text was like on this side right next to it. All right. Moving on, I guess. Cusp ridges. I'll highlight that. I'm gonna highlight it like this. Fix the spelling. Go here. Grab the image. See. All right, cusp ridges. Sorry I got so quiet. Cusp ridges. This is probably going to be where we stop for the evening. So I just guess we didn't get into materials yet. But cusp ridges. Each cusp has 4 cusp ridges radiating from its tip. They are named according to the direction they take away from the cusp tip: mesial, distal, facial, or lingual. So this would be the distal aspect of this crown. This would be the mesial aspect of this crown on the right-hand side here. So the mesial cusp ridge, no, the buccal cusp ridge is right here. So this is the working area of the tooth, like where it would interact with the opposing, I understand. This is the working area. So this ridge is created right here by the rise. Distal cusp ridge, buccal cusp ridge, mesial cusp ridge. Only see 3 ridges there. 1, 2, 3. Lingual cusp ridge. Lingual cusp. So it takes away. It goes to the lingual. So it goes to the distal. It goes to the mesial. It goes to the lingual. It goes to the buccal. Okay, so it's from this point. Okay, cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap us up like 2 minutes early because I can. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the fact that you hung out with us for any period of time. Kelly, I apologize because I did not see your messages. I should have just been wearing my headphones so I could hear dings come through. Thank you for your input. The cusp of Carabelli, I saw that, and I still don't know exactly what that was referring to. So the cusp of Carabelli. Here we go. We're going to highlight it. Highlight. Living that high life. All right, once in a while, the mesiolingual cusp of a maxillary first molar carries an underdeveloped, rudimentary cusp called the cusp of Carabelli. Nice. All right. Thank you again for joining us here on our CDT Study Club. We wish you absolutely the best in luck in your preparations, and please help us out by participating anytime you want to. You don't have to do it just on regular Tuesday nights. You can participate anytime you've got time to study. If you are a member of RDL team or Team RDL and you want to get registered for the CDT exam, come see me. We'll make that happen. Okay, we'll get you scheduled for the right period of time. The registration deadline and all that stuff is still posted out in the lab, or you can go to nbc-cert.org, nbccert.org, so nbccert.org, and you can find the exam. You can find, let's see, upcoming exam dates. Here we go. So you can find out where they all are. And there's also the NBC exam calendar, which will open up as a PDF, and you can see the deadlines are here. So if you want to do, for example, if you want to get into the January remote testing for the comprehensive, so you could get into the, January remote testing by December 20th. You'll need to sign up before Christmas to get in the January remote testing for the comprehensive exam. You could also do the written specialty exam at the same time, but they do not recommend that you try to take 2 tests at the same time. It's just not really feasible. You got to do one and then do another one. So thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. And I didn't record any of this, did I? Oh, I did record it. Awesome. Thank you. Have a good night.